All right, welcome back. We're back after a week off. Hope you all had a great Easter or whatever holiday you celebrated this past week. If you did celebrate a holiday, um, sorry you had to wait so long for episode 101. I do want to make a correction. I believe it was Taylor Reese. So we live streamed on Facebook, and I said something. I said another first name, and it wasn't Taylor. It was Taylor Reese, I believe. That was the one that did the little, um, thing there. So, my apologies if it is. Let me just verify it. But, yeah, we got a fun show coming up, though.
Yeah, some more football wise news, which is good, because we had some in our mini live stream, but honestly, I do apologize if you weren't really able to hear it. Kind of Bluetooth kicked in on Brian's car.
Yeah.
I probably should have used my phone instead.
Angel
Sorry.
Reese. Angel Reese. My mistake. Sorry, I
Um,
wanted to be sure I got that right.
you're fine. So I guess I can start with my takeaways. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that's 2 weeks ago. It was you.
Mm-hmm.
So the OBJ drama has finally been concluded, as now he is a member of the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, we don't know exactly what's going to go on with Lamar Jackson. We don't know if he's going to get traded, if he's going to sit out, if he's going to, if this was a ploy to try to get him to play for at least that last year under the tender. Um, I think it's a good upgrade for the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, Rashad Bateman is a pretty good receiver. You got a guy like Odell who still has something to go out there and improve. The problem is, how truly good is he going to be after being out a whole entire year? That's going to be the true question for OBJ. I mean, if he can get back to form, I mean, it's maybe a good pickup. But the problem is that you don't know who's going to be throwing the ball in Baltimore. So it could
Yeah.
be a good move, could be a bad move. I think this is a risk move for Baltimore because you don't know who your starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if OBJ is going to be back up to speed right away. So I think this is kind of a like sign you for a 1 year deal, prove it type of year for Odell. Because if he can go out there and put up, you know, numbers like he has done in the past, maybe he can get another, sort of long term deal. But if he goes out there and can't get back to form, I think it's just going to be back to the chopping block for Odell all over again. So
I mean,
apparently it's an $18 million contract, 15 million guaranteed. You can get 3 million in incentives. I guess if he's first in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, he can get $1 million. Or if he leads the team instead, receptions, yards, or touchdowns, he could get 3 million in incentives, which doesn't sound half bad. I mean, that motivates a player, right? Who wouldn't want, 3 million more dollars in your contract with, pushing towards a goal for the season. But what do you think about this, Brian? To me, it looks like a bad move.
18 million for a receiver who didn't play last year is, to me, a little bit steep.
Mm-hmm.
But when OBJ's good, he's good. So
Right.
I think, I think it's a high risk, but it's a high reward for them.
Mm-hmm.
And, regardless of if it's Huntley or Jackson at QB, I think he's going to put up wide receiver one numbers. Whether he's top 5, whether he's top 10 is going to be another question. And that might be a resounding no, but
I think he could probably do better than Rashad Bateman, but the thing is that Bateman is kind of a speedster. I mean, see, I would think that it would be a little bit more dangerous if it was like Hollywood Brown and Odell Beckham Jr. because Hollywood
yeah.
Brown was pretty alright for the Baltimore Ravens.
I feel like
If
they
you
had
had,
a good chemistry.
yeah, I mean, if you had Brown, maybe Bateman and Odell, maybe I would say, okay, now that seems a little bit better. But then when you have, like, other than Odell and Bateman, the only other guy that's up there on that list of elite pass catchers is the tight end. That's it. This team, I don't know if it's a playoff team, to be honest with you. Odell doesn't seem like the kind of guy that can help that team out. I mean, if it was like pre-Odell before the ACL tear, yeah, I would say, okay, I think this is a good move. I think that he's somebody that can help this team out in the long run. If he could come back to like what he was during the Rams to help them with winning a Super Bowl, then okay, yeah, I guess fine. You did what needed to be done to get in a pass catcher that can do something. I get it. He was tied with the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo has passed on a lot of talent. I think they're looking into the draft, which is not a bad thing. It's a very receiver, friendly draft this year.
Yeah.
So I think Buffalo may have made the right decision of passing on Odell. Plus, I don't think they had the kind of money to give him the kind of contract that Baltimore gave him. Because say if Baltimore gave him that contract, Buffalo would have either had to match it or somehow give him like 19 or something like that million, maybe 16 guaranteed or something like that, just to one up the ante. But they just didn't want to give him that kind of steep contract, which I don't blame them. But I guess we shall see what happens towards the beginning of the season with Baltimore, of who their quarterback's going to be, before I can make a resounding this is a good move. We talked about it briefly. I know a lot of the people that watch our podcast probably didn't really hear me talk about it very too well, even though I did state it.
Facebook Live.
Yes. The Dallas Mavericks were keen on sitting out key players during the Bulls, it seemed like on purpose, to get better positioning, to keep their top 10 protected pick. But if they fall out of the top 10, their pick goes to the New York Knicks as part of the Porzingis trade. So it has been stated that the Mavericks' actions have failed our fans in our league. I don't know if it's failed the fans.
Yeah, you failed the fans. I'm sorry. When you pay top dollar to see starters play, and you've come to find out beforehand, you failed them. I mean, it's one thing if you flip on the TV and it's, Luka's not playing. All right, I can flip it off and I don't lose money on it.
Right.
Okay, you show up to the arena and Luka's not playing, it's kind of,
True.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Luka started that game, if I remember correctly, but like Kyrie was ruled out. Which, at this point, I mean, it is what it is. And we're trying to improve their chances of keeping their first round pick, which I'm sure they probably will. They're going to be a lottery pick regardless of what happens. But because of their actions, even though they were fined to have the amount, do you think that they should still be stripped of their draft pick, or was fining enough?
I feel like whatever they decide is going to set the precedent going forward. And I would say, yeah, I think you got to send a message across the league that this is not going to be tolerated. The deliberate tanking. And I'm sorry, I get you're a Mavs fan, but
Mm,
I think the message has to be unanimous across the board in that, if you're gonna if you're gonna purposely try to tank to prevent losing, your your pick there,
right.
then you deserve it.
No, honestly, I mean, I think that definitely stripping them of the draft pick will definitely set a precedent that a lot of teams shouldn't, because that's a ride or die pick. Like if you get into the top 10, that is a pick that could turn your team around, possibly right heading into next season. So if you lose that pick, you only have a second round pick, and you don't even know if that second round pick is going to make your roster. They
Absolutely.
might, but they might, because there have been some second round draft picks, and I'm looking at one, Jalen Brunson, probably the best second round draft pick that the Mavericks have had as of late. Of course, now he's with the Knicks. He is a finalist for Most Improved Player, as well deserved. I hope he wins it, because the kind of season that he has had, with his dad um, being under the coaching staff in New York, honestly, I think he's well more than deserving of it. Of course, I'm a little mad. Yeah, he left, but I figured maybe once his dad was going to join, that he was going to go. Didn't even go to try to negotiate with the Mavericks. Went straight. Nope, New York. I'm all in. My dad's here. I'm going to play there. So, but other than that, honestly, $750,000, that's a lot of money. But that's probably like pocket change to Mark Cuban at this point.
Yeah.
So let's be honest there. I think he was willing to have to pay up that $750,000.
Again, he
But
can do it, but a lot of owners can't.
no,
So
definitely.
it's,
But this one, honestly,
again, for me, it's about a
I
precedent.
say a one-time offense should be a fine. If you're doing it multiple different times, like say if it was like multiple games that you're
But
purposely
it shouldn't get to that point of it's a
no, I
multiple.
don't think
I'm
it should.
saying send the message now and say, look what we just did to the Mavs, and we will do it to you too if we find out.
See, even if you had the starters play like half the game and then rested them in like the second half, at least you didn't rest them on purpose. Like you had them play like half the game,
Yeah.
and then you set them out to half. The half. That right there, that's fine. But if you're deliberately just resting starters because you already know that you're not going to make playoffs, or not even try to make playoffs, because even in that game, say if the Dallas Mavericks won that game against the Bulls, they would have probably been in the play-in right now. And compared to like the OKC Thunder, who did eventually take that number 10 spot that the Dallas Mavericks were fighting to try to get. But at this point, as a Dallas Mavericks fan, I was totally fine with not making the playoffs, because I knew the way that this team has been all year long wasn't even great, even before the Kyrie trade. I get it that the Dallas Mavericks had a chance of being a playoff team beforehand. They were 4th or 5th seed. But just the way that the team has been, even beforehand, there's no saying that even if if they didn't make that trade and still kept Finney Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie, there's no guarantees that they still would have made playoffs. Maybe they would have been like a low seed, maybe play-in, stuff like that. But it seems very disappointing that you go after a player that is such a superstar in Kyrie Irving, and you can't even you only win a certain amount of games. You're worse off with him than without him. This team seemed like they just trusted too much on Luka and Kyrie, and then tried to be the supporting cast. They're like, oh, we're gonna put too much on Kyrie and Luka, and then they're going to be kind of like this, some, just there to help if they need to be, but we're going to have most of this points scored. But no, you can't be doing that. It's team basketball. I get it. It's not, as great as college ball is, and college ball has a lot of teamwork and athleticism compared to the professional game. But in the end of the day, you still also have to play like a team. And if there's any team that, shows that they played like a team, even with having an all-star like Dirk Nowitzki, it's probably the 2011 Dallas Mavericks team.
Yeah.
But, again, speaking of playing, I don't know if you watched the video of DeMar DeRozan's daughter. You can literally hear her screaming. It was loud. Like, loud screaming. I don't know if it was more so the screaming or just a bad, shooting night for the Raptors on the line, but every time the Toronto Raptors were on the line, you would hear DeMar DeRozan's daughter, Dier, or I don't know how to really pronounce it, screaming. And apparently the screaming worked. It caused the Toronto Raptors to fall 50% from the line, missing, I think, like 18 free throws. Like, that's kind of crazy to think about in NBA. Like, tell me another time that you've seen a team missing 18 free throws in an NBA game. I bet you probably can't.
Oh,
exactly. So, I think she might be the true MVP here. If there was an MVP award for fans, I think she won it.
Surprising that screaming would be the reason for it, because fans scream all the time.
Well,
trying to distract the players, but I'd have to see the video.
If I can probably,
I wouldn't play it here just for copyright's sake, but
right. But honestly, you can clearly hear her her screams, and they were pretty damn loud.
Yeah.
They were almost piercing. Mm-hmm. Not super piercing, but pretty loud. Like you could hear it in Scotiabank Arena. That's how loud it was.
Yeah. Again, she deserves the MVP in the away arena too. That's thank God Toronto's cool about it. We were in Toronto. They're usually pretty cool unless it's hockey.
Right.
Then it's don't mess with them.
Right. Well, yeah, because that's their sport.
And I'm sure they're cool with DeMar anyway. He is a former Raptor.
You think about it, they're cool with basketball too, because that's where basketball was created, was in Canada.
Yeah.
If anybody didn't know that.
Actually, I didn't, so that's good to know.
But so I am going to send it over to Brian here.
We got to talk about the Tampa Bay Rays going to baseball now. Tampa Bay Rays are 13-0 as of Friday. And that's
insane.
Unbelievable for baseball, because it is they have got the third biggest point differential in history. It's not like they're winning these games closely contested. They're wiping the floor with teams when they head out onto the field. It is the best start in modern history, the third biggest points differential in history at the moment, through 13 games. So, I can't stress enough, there's still 149 games left. So, it's not...
This hot take right now, watch them somehow go on the reversing role and somehow missing playoffs. I get it, it's still early and then anything could still happen, but we see these great big starts, and then teams start faltering towards the end of the year. And I feel like that's what could happen to the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm
They
just
could
putting it
be
out there.
peaking too early. I agree with that. They could be peaking a little
It
too
could
early.
happen because I've seen it
But
too much in professional sports that these teams start hot and falter towards the end of the year.
but let's be fair about the Rays. The Rays the last few years have been probably the biggest threat in that division to the Yankees last year. They went to a World Series the year before. They're not exactly a bunch of, bums that are out of nowhere. They've had the pieces for a few years now. So I don't feel this is surprising. I feel like 13-0 in baseball is surprising.
Yeah.
I think and I want to highlight the in baseball part because usually teams will go 4-0, 5-0, and that's when they'll pick up their first loss. Because it's just so hard to win when you're playing day after day. So overall, just good job for Tampa. Great work for them. We'll see how
I guess
long they
there's
can continue
a
it.
really great squad. I mean, and it seems like it's now just coming to fruition this year, at least to start off wise, to maybe be on pace to be the favorites, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So,
Um, and we'll see. I mean, again, 149 games remaining, so I wouldn't, Tampa, I wouldn't exactly get your hopes up just yet. Take it like a grain of salt. I mean, it's just like when my Twins beat up on the Yankees like they did Thursday and Friday. I mean, you got to take it like a grain of salt. It's not, the postseason, it's not September. So,
right.
still plenty of baseball to be played. Um, Shoot, I just realized I didn't put a third takeaway. So I guess we have two for now. John Rahm, he wins the Masters for
Yeah.
the first time. What?
Oh, yeah, you didn't. Never
Yeah.
mind. MLB opening weekend. Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
so we'll talk
Never
about
mind.
John Rahm. John Rahm, he won the Masters, his first one. He beat Brooks Koepka, who, of course, not many people like him right now because he, of course, he is one of the many golfers that went from PGA to LIV. And just congratulations to him. I know Jim Nantz he really took issue to, he really took issue to them in the LIV. So, again, just an ugly thing going on right now because, the sports essentially split. So, I mean, still a lot to figure out for them, I'm sure. And, man, I don't have much to say on that. I mean, just congratulations to Rom there. By the way, tough break for Tiger. And we got to talk about the Masters as well about this. Tiger Woods, of course, withdrew due to injury. It's unfortunate. I believe it's the first time he didn't finish the Masters. So, and the Masters was really just a very weird week, man. It was a very weird weekend. So, I think it was Friday afternoon. So, of course, it was pretty windy at Augusta. A tree came crashing down in the spectator section. And, of course, came crashing down. They had to cancel the rest of the day so they could do the tree cleanup. And thankfully, no one was hurt. That's the biggest thing. And of course, if you know anything about Augusta, they put in a ridiculous amount of work to keep that course, looking like golf heaven, which it is. If you're a golfer, it's golf heaven. So, Good work by the PGA and, of course, Augusta's crew to get that cleaned up. And, hey, Jason, we got a month until we see the PGA here in Rochester. Now, we're not going to it, but we got a month until they come here for the PGA Championship.
Yeah.
Which, of course, will be huge for upstate and small business.
I mean, yeah, it always seems to be the biggest, like, event in Rochester, other than maybe the Buffalo Bills coming
It's
John College.
I'd say it's a bigger stage, to be honest. I mean, we
Oh, yeah,
know how
it
big.
is.
I mean, this
Yeah.
is the biggest major.
Right.
So, can't wait to see what they do. And I suppose I'll talk about this because I haven't listed a third one. Buda Baker requested a trade. And I know the Jags are looking at corners right now. I know there's a few teams looking at corners. So, oh, man. Another issue with the Cardinals because they're going to lose D-Hop.
I tell you,
Now it's
watch out for the NFL draft. The NFL draft, I feel like you're going to see a lot of draft day trades for big name players. It's going to happen. I think this is going to be the biggest draft day, like, first day, like, ever, to be honest with you.
I think it's going to be one of the most dramatic. I think that's about the best way we can put it.
Yeah. Dramatic. You're going to see a lot of, like, you know, I guess you're going to see, like, a lot of, like, big draft pieces being moved. Like, you know, Aaron Rodgers probably being one of them. Buda Baker, maybe. I don't know. I mean, the Cardinals, it just doesn't look promising. Of course, I don't think.
They're going to lose a guy that was the only guy that was able to chase down DK Metcalf.
Right.
Or, I'm sorry, DK Metcalf chased him down. My mistake.
Yeah, I mean, they already lost
the other way around.
They're possibly going to be losing Buda Baker. They're going to be losing D-Hop. I mean, how long until they lose Kyler Murray? I mean, come on now. They're like, it's already bad enough that, like, this team is literally going to be nothing. I mean, they already fired Cliff Kingsbury this past offseason. It just doesn't look very good for the Cardinals heading into this season, because if you have no D-Hop, you have no Buda Baker, don't have a really good offense, and then you might not have a really good defense. You lost J.J. Watt to retirement. I mean, it just doesn't look very promising for.
I think they're headed for a full rebuild, but I don't think Kyler Murray's going to leave, to be honest. Unless he requests a trade, but I don't think anyone will want to take on his contract.
I mean, he might. I mean, if this season goes really bad for Arizona, don't be shocked if he tries to ask for a trade after this year. But as far as Buda Baker, I mean, honestly, I think he's still got some something to go out there and improve. I just don't know what team could go after him. I mean, that's why I say don't be shocked if if Arizona strikes like a deal draft day with a team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially a team that needs a corner. So
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, of course, we're I believe a week and a half away from the draft. So,
well, a little under 2 weeks. 2 weeks from It was 2 weeks from Thursday, so from when this drops, about another week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. About a week and a half.
Yeah, about a week and a half.
So we'll see. Of course, it'll all be quite an interesting one to watch. I think Adam Schefter's going to be losing his hair midway through the first round.
I think Mel Kiper Jr. is probably gonna lose his shit too, but who knows?
Oh man, but all right. I think now's a good time. We'll take our break. When we come back, we'll talk some more NFL. We'll talk Tinkle on this. And then, of course, we'll have a preview of our shows coming up this week. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, I knew this would happen, right? Well, we knew this would happen. Giants and Saquon Barkley are so far apart on negotiations that Saquon has announced he will not sign the franchise tag before the season starts. The team essentially does not want to give him the long-term deal he is seeking. Another reason we can blame Le'Veon Bell for ruining running backs.
To be honest with you, I don't understand why the Giants didn't tag Daniel Jones and didn't give Saquon Barkley the kind of deal that Daniel Jones has right now. Because I get it, he was hurt a couple of years in a row and I came back and had the kind of season he did. So this is kind of more so like a prove it year. But Daniel Jones, if you look at his whole entire career up to this point, really was kind of mediocre, so I don't know if he was worth getting that kind of deal that he got. I get it. Maybe Saquon didn't deserve a deal like that either.
I think
but
that's
still,
what they're thinking is Saquon was injured the first, last handful of years. So why are we sending all the money to the guy who can't stay healthy?
Right. But honestly, I think after having a resurging year, you could at least give him like a 2 or 3 year, contract extension. You don't have to give him like a 4 or 5 mega deal.
And we've seen what happens with that.
Right, exactly.
Zeke.
Yeah, he's a prime example. I think it's starting to get into a revolving door that you really shouldn't give running backs those big mega deals, because every time they do, they just fall off the wagon and just don't care. Like, I got my big payday. Why do I have to go out there and do anything and prove myself? Because at the end of the day, I'm still getting paid anyway. So that's kind of how they feel.
Yeah.
Or more so for the quarterbacks, they kind of will still play up to where they were before getting a deal like that, but the running backs, they seem so entitled. And you're right, it does seem like that Le'Veon Bell set the precedent that it's okay for running backs to be like this. But he's also another one that, even though he left and went away, he's not in the NFL right now. Of course, we know a lot of other running backs that have wanted to go and get those kind of contracts and stuff like that. And we've named a few on here in the past. And we've named some just recently, too. So, it does... I get probably maybe where Saquon's getting from. But I think the Giants did the right move. Because if he has another season like he did last year, okay, then maybe you could give him that kind of contract, because then you might see more consistent production out of Saquon Barkley. I get it, he's still young, he hasn't really met his peak yet, even though you saw glimpses of it. But this just looks bad for him heading on, because if another team does somehow go after him, how do we know that that's not going to happen? He's not going to do that on a new team. See, this is what's starting the precedent for a lot of professional athletes, and in the kind of contracts that people are getting. They thought, oh, well, if that guy got that kind of contract, why can't I?
Yeah.
Like, it's that revolving door that just like when one player sets the precedent, it sets the precedent for all other players that come afterwards. Well, so and so got a fully guaranteed contract. How come I can't get a fully guaranteed contract? Or this guy got 120 million off of 5 years. How come I can't get 120 million off of 5 years?
Yeah,
It's rough.
for an
Like,
expendable position, nonetheless. One of the more expendable positions in the league.
Exactly. It just, if this was maybe like 20, 30 years ago, okay, fine. Running backs were a lot more utilized, and it was a run-heavy kind of league back then. Now it's more of a pass-heavy type of league where the running backs are a lot more expendable, and all you have to do is just, okay, if you want to be like this, we can just find your replacement in the draft. That's what teams do a lot of times.
Exactly.
They're willing to expend, to get rid of these running backs to get other ones for cheap or in a draft and stuff like that. So you're going to see a lot of these running backs not getting those kind of big deals. I mean, I'm not wrong, am I? I mean,
exactly, yeah. Speaking of expendable positions, we just got a little bit of a announcement from Tyreek Hill this week that he will be retiring once his contract expires. So this is really early because Tyreek hasn't been in the league. He's been in the league a while, but not like that long.
Yeah, I think he'll be like 31 by the time that his contract expires, because he wants to go into like the gaming business, I think is what it was.
No.
He really wants to throw his NFL career away after his contract goes into the gaming business. Ugh. Sounds like something that Juju Smith-Schuster would do.
Nah, he'd leave to go into the TikTok business with Jackson Mahomes.
Okay. I'm not gonna go on with that, but that is pretty funny. But honestly, all the power to him. I mean, he's got his Super Bowl ring. I mean, there's not really much he has to do with that. I mean, he's got the ring. He's won his Super Bowl. I mean, yeah, he's with the Dolphins, but if you look at it, at the end of the day, I mean, he's accomplished a lot in his career up to this point. So, I mean, lets the contract out. I think I could say that maybe he can still be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know for a spell, but, I mean, he'll probably still be in it regardless.
Third, maybe fourth if he's lucky, I think. I just don't think he's Hall of Fame material, unfortunately. I mean, I made the same argument for Megatron.
If he was able to keep it up and like win maybe like multiple championships and like get some records there, then I can say okay, maybe first or second ballot. But with just winning a ring and really really didn't have that most spectacular year this year, even though I think he broke like 1,000 yards receiving. Like he didn't have that like kind of like Kansas City Tyreek kind of flashy year. It was more so like, okay, yeah, he got over 1,000 and so touchdowns, but like average. Like not that kind of Tyreek Hill that we're used to seeing.
I mean, new coach, new offense, but I'd say they utilized him pretty well. And also quarterback issues.
That's true too.
Which leads actually into the next point. So the NFL has made these new helmets for the quarterbacks that are expected to reduce concussions.
I would think that probably is there going to be more padding in the helmets to try to reduce concussions. Is that what they're trying to get at?
I think so. I think it's a gimmick, to be honest. I mean, how can you prove, less concussions when you have Tua out there faking that he doesn't have one every week?
Ouch.
Sorry, I'm on the burn train this week. So
No, I mean, as a Bills fan, I mean, I appreciate it because that game
hey,
week what 2,
just
week
just
2,
remember it was
week
National
3.
Roast Day.
I think it was week 3. Um, he shouldn't have been able to continue in that. He clearly looked concussed, but yet Miami's like, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think he's fine. You know, I'm go out there and finish.
It
You know,
wasn't a
yeah,
full body cast.
and a Bills loss. But I think that even after a hit like that, shouldn't have been able to play. And I think that's the main reason why they're going with it is because of like what happened with him, and also that it's the revolving of concussions. You know, they're still going on. And I don't think it's gonna stop it from happening. It might reduce it from happening as often as it used to, but I don't think it's gonna stop it entirely from happening. I mean, they're kind of just like dumbing down the league as much as they can, and I get it. You know, you want to protect the players and stuff like that, but is the NFL protecting the players a little too much in a sense?
I feel like, with the concussions, they can't go far enough.
Understandable. I mean, I'm talking about more so like a lot of the other kind of rules against like certain hits and whatnot.
Yeah, it's starting to get excessive. They're protecting, to me, it's favoritism. They're protecting most positions, like versus other positions where it's like, they'll be fine.
Right. I mean, because you think about it, they protect a lot of they protect the quarterback a lot. Um, Same thing with receivers, I guess corners. But like, I think the one true position that doesn't really get protected as much is probably the running back position, and maybe like,
Offensive line.
yeah,
Let's
definitely.
let's talk about offensive and defensive line. These guys are bashing helmets every single play.
What about off? I think defensive line. I think the whole thing with like, um, roughing the passer, like that's I get it. That's also protecting the quarterback, but like in the end of the day, when half the time these defensive linemen are like barely touching the quarterback and then getting flagged for roughing the passer, like that needs to get seriously like addressed. But again, it resorts on you're protecting the quarterback way too much.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I get it, the most pivotal position in the NFL, but there needs to be a standard of when to protect the quarterback and protecting them too much.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'm not saying that I'm all for them um, fixing up helmets and trying new systems and seeing if it's gonna work. Um, Truly want to know the science behind these helmets. Have they tested them? Did they truly know that it's gonna um, reduce concussions? Because I feel like something like you make a helmet like this, you would have to. I feel like you would have to do tests, like test it on like a dummy, see if it's gonna really like
I'm
see like
sure they have. I mean,
like you would have to like
hmm.
that's what I'm saying. Like it's all fine and dandy to like do something like this, but if you haven't really tested it and done the science behind it, then like it just sounds like another like you just made another helmet at the end of the day.
Hmm.
You know.
Oh yeah, but all right.
So I guess it goes hand in hand where if it's an actual game or if it's gonna work type of thing. But
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and you know, I guess we'll see if it really does reduce it. Next season, depending on what quarterbacks wear it. So I imagine Tua should be the first in line, but
I think I saw something that Josh Allen might as well, but
hmm,
I could be wrong.
all right, not bad. So all right, we got Tinkle on this, and we got to talk about Rocket City Trash Pandas. And you already know where this is going. First off, fitting name for what I'm about to explain is the Tinkle on this week. So, the Trash Pandas, they threw a no-hitter, but they lost. Okay? They, I believe, had 7 errors, and that's what got, and a few hit by pitches, and that's what got them, in scoring position, got the runs there. Man, how do you throw a no-hitter and lose?
Pitcher, I would be severely pissed.
I think he would have been gone the next day. Yeah, I mean, if I would want to be gone the next day if my team blew it.
I would probably request a trade, to be honest with you.
Man, but I mean, hey, trash is in the name. Just don't forget that.
True.
With that, tinkle on this to the Trash Pandas. We do have one more, and I'll let you take this.
Yeah. So Tyreek Hill had I think like a football camp where he was lined up on defense and the student was lined up on offense. It looked like, oh, maybe Tyreek is going to be able to like keep up with a kid and stay on him because he's one of the fastest players in NFL. Well, yeah, hence the cheetah name. But he gets crossed. He gets crossed and burned by a student, and all of a sudden you just see all these kids just running like, oh, this guy just freaking broke Tyreek's ankles and got a pass. Like, I don't think Tyreek Hill will ever live that down that he got burned by one of the students at the camp. And for that, Tyreek, tinkle on this, man. You should just retire after that.
Unbelievable, man. That's really bad.
Why you don't play on defense?
We're learning that more and more every day. So, but with that, what's coming up on No Final Bell this week here?
Oh, I mean, we're going to be talking about Dynamite and Rebellion, and a returning guy that honestly I did not see happening anytime soon. The charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy has officially come back on the AEW on AEW television. I just hope to God that he's going to turn his life around, because this is his last chance. And then when I mean last chance, I mean last chance professional wrestling. If he goes down the same road, it's safe to say that there is no company that's going to save him, and he's going to have to deal out some serious jail time. Like, he's had problems with addiction and alcohol abuse and drugs, and last I think was like DWI. So it doesn't look very good, because if any other job looked at that, they want to hire him. But again, I really hope that Jeff Hardy's going to turn his life around, that the Hardys can be AEW Tag Team Champions and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that maybe, in the grace of God, that, like, Jeff, you have a family, you have a daughter, do the right thing and provide for them, and not, go back down the dark road and let the demons take over you. If you need anybody to talk to about, addiction problems and how to get away from it, talk to Moxley, man. Moxley has been in that same situation and put himself into rehab to better his life. So please, if you gotta be anybody's best friend, be Moxley's best friend, so you don't have to go down that dark path again. I love the Hardys, I really do, but Jeff,
Gotta
reality
straight.
needs to happen for you.
Hmm.
Other than that, before I go on a whole total tangent, what's going to happen on Out of Turn 4?
Yeah, so tune in this week for that. But Chase Elliott's back. That's huge news. Of course, he broke his leg a couple weeks ago. So glad to see him back. And enough can't be said about Josh Berry filling in for him, but I'll get in more of that next episode. There's another big piece of news, and I just thought of it, but we got Chase Elliott back. We've got, the first NASCAR race on an oval with rain tires. We're going to talk about that as well. Recap Martinsville, get you ready. We also got IndyCar at Long Beach this weekend, and that should be fun. McLaren just released their liveries for the 500. That looks amazing. So, again, a lot coming up on Out of Turn 4 this week as well. Tune in Tuesday at 5, Tune in Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Facebook Watch, and then tune in Wednesday at 5 for No Final Bell. They've been doing good lately, so
Yeah.
Keep watching them.
Yeah, Wednesday at 5 as of late, and I'm happy about it.
They've been doing that. The viewership's been up, so continue supporting them. Help us out, too, on Out of Turn 4. We need some viewers. We'd love to have you join us.
I will state, I'm happy for anybody that's subscribed. I mean, we've gotten a few.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. We've gained like 4 subscribers this week, I think. So thanks to the new guys.
20
welcome aboard. Yeah, welcome aboard. I hope this podcast didn't scare you away. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. And we'll be back here next Sunday. Hopefully, I'll be a little bit more rested. Sorry. It's been exhausting this week. But until next week, goodbye, everyone.